Hello everybody, and get some booms for this playthrough in Pro Division in the Gridiron tournament. The video is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. Let's go! We're gonna go directly into the action here on hole number 1. I'm playing with an extra mile level 7. So I'm going to play with max topspin, which is 4.5 bar, and as much side spin to the left as possible, which also is 4.5 bar. I aim with the red ring just by the rough on the left, and then I adjust for max numbers with a 10% over adjustment. When I'm done, I push my target up into max distance again, even though it's not that much that we miss, but I want to push it up to max distance here. You can see here that I'm using a max curl, which is basically like which is a lot. I would advise you to play with half a ball of curl outside to the left instead, so we're not going to do like I did there to cut the rough. We do want to have a clear fairway bounce, so the second bounce is going to roll ourselves a little bit longer, but just that we do get it to fairway is going to be the important part here. Before I take my second shot, do not forget to check down in the video description for direct timestamps for the specific holes in this playthrough. Also, check out patreon.com/golfclashtommy for updated text guides and training session packages. Yes, second shot, now we're going to approach for the pin. This is a good opportunity for an albatross. It's just a matter of dialing it in. That's the thing. So we're going to aim directly at the pin. I'm going to use 2 bars of backspin. And as you can see, we're not in max distance. And you can also see on the ball guideline that like it's so dependent on the second bounce how this ball is going to go, because it is very bumpy on the green. But it is a very nice opportunity, and we're going to see some albatrosses on this one. And I do believe with the holes that we're having in the tournament, especially for hole like for this one and hole number 9, there is a possibility to make an albatross and get ourselves a good tiebreaker. Got a little bit of a fringe glitch there, so I got like a very hard roll there, or like a hot roll. No problem in this case, we're going to still lock in the eagle. Hole number 2, now we need to make an eagle. That's just like that's just the basic the logic way here to couldn't find the word. The logic way to see this short par 4. And when we do have tailwind, we can play on the fairway platform there to bounce it directly onto the green, and that is something that we do need to do. We do need to have more backspin than 2 bars that our opponent is having, as we do want the ball to not bounce over the green or to be a long putt or go into the sand or whatever, you know. Our opponent is doing a very nice shot, I would have to say. Got to the fringe here with a good amount of curl. Me, myself, I'm going to play it a little bit differently, as I'm going to play with extra mile. And I'm going to play with 4 bars of backspin with a max side spin to the right. Have in mind here that it depends on the wind really how much backspin you're going to have. It's like I'm going to use 4 bars in this case, but I could be playing with 3.5 or 3 bars in this case, as the wind is so low. I do stretch out, then to adjust, using the yellow ring by the rough on the right, half a ball of curl, and then we hit it perfect. In this case, you can see we're coming a little bit short, just bounce there in the rough. You can see we should be using a 3.5 or 3, then we should be having no problem there. Or we're going to have to put our adjustment further in front a little bit there. So just a minor things there. We can play with 4, but we need to then play a little bit further ahead. Or we do play maybe with a Titan ball instead, and then we do have a little bit stronger wind, as then we get a longer second bounce. So the more wind you have, the longer the second bounce is going to be. Like the longer the ball guideline is going to be for you, as you get an extended ball guideline. The lower wind you have, the shorter extended is going to be. Oh, our opponent missed that one. We're going to ship it in, and we're going to be happy with an eagle on this one, even though it was a little bit ugly to just cut the rough and roll out on the fairway. Take a look at this wedge. Look here how forgiving this one is. It's so short that we can basically hit it great, good, or whatever, you know. And it's going to roll in the hole anyway. Hole number 3. And now I'm going to go with a rough bump. There is 2 things here that we need to have in mind here, actually. Is that this ball, or this adjustment here, is going to be played with 5 bars of side spin to the left, with a tiny bit of overpower, which is half a bar. And now when we do have headwind, we bounce in an uphill slope. Naturally, this ball is going to be a little bit shorter than the ball guideline is telling us. But the thing that happens here now is that when I do adjust for one-on-one, which I'm going to continue to do, is that I'm moving my target further ahead to a higher point. When we do that, we move to a higher point, the ball is going to gain more distance, and therefore we're gonna come in long. So the thing that we're going to do there is that we're going to either have to adjust for the ball guideline to be below the pin and then take a shot, or we will have to, when we have adjust, to move back our target approximately 1.5 ring in terms of distance. I know it maybe sound tricky, but that's something that we do have to do. Otherwise it's going to be a little bit tough for us there to get the rough bump correctly. But you know, as it comes for this hole in general, it's going to be a very tough one. Oh, what happened now? Oh, yeah, that was a little bit too long. See there, I also using a power, like a wind resistance 3 ball, which is the Kingmaker. The reason I'm using that is because we do want to reduce the wind as much as possible. The higher wind we have, the higher up we're going to have to adjust, and also the bigger risk we do have to fall out of the cliff, and then we're going to lose, get a very weird type of adjustment. Hole number 4, another par 4 where we can go for the green. Here I'm going to play with a Berserker. So in my opinion here, take one of the Berserkers. You hopefully have one in the golden shot. And you play with 6 bars of topspin with as much side spin to the right as possible. And even though we are going to have the wind pointed to the right, the fairway is bouncing itself to the left, so we need to help our ball to the right. That's why we're using side spin to the right. We stretch it out so we can picture our second bounce on the fairway, then the third bounce on the rough. We adjust for max numbers with a 10% over adjustment. No overpower, as we do not need to have that. Then we bounce very nicely. Second bounce here. We get out to the fairway and we roll and have a very, very nice putt here for the eagle. Of course, if we can replicate that all the time, then I'm going to be super happy. But it's tough. We need to hit it perfect. We could have gone with a tiny bit of curl to the right if we want to, but I feel okay. We're just getting it there into an eagle range. We are most likely going to see 1 or 2 hole-in-ones on this par 4. As if you just get a little bit lucky with the bounce and then the roll from the rough, then this one could be in the hole. But I think the key here for us, that we play with a little bit lower level clubs, so we don't have enough distance here. You can see with a POC 3, with a power 3 ball here, doesn't really show. And I just don't want to play with overpower. So that is why I'll spend with a Berserker. I take away the risk with playing with overpower, so we just can play it normal. It's going to be much easier to adjust for. Our opponent gets into the rough or into the sand, but I still believe that it's going to be better than playing from distance on the right side. We putt it in, take the eagle, and going to be very happy. So we're going to focus now on hole number 5. Hole number 5 here, you can see our opponent playing one way. I'm going to play another way. Our opponent's going to use one of the new Gridiron balls, which is a power 5 ball with wind resistance 2, which is going to give a lot of distance. And with this tailwind here, we can play directly over the trees if we want to. The thing that we do have to have here is that we do need to have enough curl, first and foremost, to the left. We need to go with full curl. We need to go with as much topspin as possible to try to get over to the fairway there. Getting into the rough here is going to make it possible to reach for the green, but with a rough iron. I'm going to play with a quarterback here and play it just in a consistent way. 2.5 bar topspin, and as much side spin to the left possible. Here I'm going to drag my adjustment out once again. And I'm adjusting from the other direction. So I'm basically just eyeballing now, trying to get 6.5 rings, as I'm going to adjust it for 1-on-1. Now we're going to use some curl as well. You can see there's max. So I'm going to use one ball of curl completely outside the top left arrow. Coming in very nice, and we sit there very nice. You can see as well, I play with a kingmaker to use as much side spin as possible, so I don't have to use as much curl. Then we can use the one ball of curl as a reference. Now for the second shot, we're going to play with a big dog. And the reason I play with a big dog is that I do need distance. It's so important here, as well, otherwise we might have to stretch out again, or we even have to overpower if we for some reason do go short with our drive. Our opponent gets here to the green, no problem with the rough iron, but I'd rather take a wood club than a rough iron to rely on to get myself to the green. Now in this case we can push it to go for the pin, but it is a bit, what can I say, scary. It is a little bit scary, as we do have the rough and we do have the sand. And if we just get a little bit, a little poor bounce, we could be into the sand or into the rough there, and that's definitely not something that I would like to do. You can see how close I am here, and you can see how the ball guy line is basically going a little bit back and forth. And that kind of tells us like, okay, just go for the green then instead of going for the pin. Well, I'm going for the pin anyway. We need to try, you know. Bounce it over. And we land it nicely there on the green. And then we're going to have a pot for the eagle. And that's the only thing that I'm focused on really on hole number 5. Because I don't believe that we're going to see maybe 1 or 2, but like it's not going to be that hole that is going to decide if we're going to win it or lose it in this tournament, that's for sure. So our opponent here is going with a basic ball and the big dog. And I'm going to do not the same, because I'm definitely not going to play with a big dog on a par 3. It's like that's, I would say, one of the, if not the worst wood club to play on a par 3 with. Then it's definitely top 2 in the bottom there. And it's very easy to do like this. Now gets up to the fairway, gets a little bit lucky, but pick the right club. And I'm going to play with, not with a power 3 ball, because then we're going to be in between clubs. So I'm going to play this one with a navigator. Power 1 ball is going to be perfect, and we are in minimum distance of our club. I would almost say a quasar would almost be better. You can see we have 2.5 bar side, like in side spin. Aiming straight at the hole with 3 bars of backspin. Then I'm going to adjust this one for a minimum distance of my club with an over adjustment of 10%. So I'm adjusting it for 5 rings. We hit it perfect. And we miss it on the left. Oh, so close. So close, so close, so close. We're coming directly to hole number 7. And now we're going to go on the right side. 5% over adjustment. Important. I stretch it out once again. 5 bar of side spin to the right with half a bar of backspin. Bounce on the fairway there, and we roll, and we put ourselves very, very nicely on the fairway. Why do I play such a hard drive when we can play on an open shot to the left? The reason is that we do get a good opportunity to play for the eagle on the right side, where we get a very tough way to go for the eagle on the left side, where it's basically, in my opinion, only going to be to go for the pin, not going to go for the pin, just go for the green and take a birdie if you play on the left. Our opponent's playing with topspin here, and I don't like that. It's too risky. I do believe that in tailwind we should be staying away playing in topspin, especially when we do need to hit specific spot. Rather aim a little bit further ahead and stay away from topspin overall. So sit. Oh no! You can see, I'm not saying that like, you know, but definitely had something to do with that roll into the rough there. Okay, now it's important for this shot is to take a look at what point are we on the fairway here. Are we maximum, medium, minimum distance of our club? I was seeing this one as medium. Aiming straight at the pin. You can see I'm also putting the ball guideline to be just in the rough there. The reason I do that is because I do want to get helped by the extended ball guideline in this tailwind. The problem is that I do kind of miscalculate a little bit here, and I'm still going to hit the rough. The thing that we do need to do here to get this eagle is that we cannot use too much backspin, then I'm going to stay in the rough all the time. We cannot use topspin or less backspin, then we're going to come in hot towards the pin. So 2 bars of backspin is going to be the number that we need to go with. And then just aim for the absolute very tip of the rough. So the little extra tailwind that we're having is helping ourselves to just bounce on the beginning of the fringe. If you do come a little bit short, the worst case scenario is going to be that you bounce in the rough to roll out on the fringe and have a very easy wedge. So it's no harm in going for that technical adjustment, as I would like to call it. Our opponent gets to the green, no problem from the rough there. But it's always like we do not want to take away the opportunity for doing so. But the tailwind definitely helps if we go into the rough or into the sand on top of the first fairway. You can see the wedge here, very, very short. And this is a wedge that we're going to sink all day and every day. Hit it perfect, get in the hole. Okay, hole number 8, the easiest hole on the course. And the thing that I'm going to do here is that I'm going to play with my sniper, and I'm going to play with backspin here and aim for the top right to get myself the speed that I do want to get the ball to fall down towards the pin. Then we of course need to find that spot, as that is going to be the key for this one, I believe. I like to play on the top right to let it fall back down, as I feel that it rolls very nicely towards the pin. Sure, we can try to bounce it directly to the pin, and you basically could decide for whatever, because the green is very forgiving and it's going to come down towards the pin no matter what you're going to do. The problem is if you use the right side and are too low on the slope, then this ball is not going to have enough speed to roll down to the pin, and that is what I'm going to try to do now. Max backspin as I'm having the sniper level 10. And then I'm going to try to put myself in the position where I can see the ball guideline falling down towards the pin. And now it's important for us here that we do compensate enough for the push that we're going to get to the left. I'm going to over adjust this shot for 10%. And in this case, I'm playing it 8 rings. So I play it 1-on-1 plus 1 ring. We hit it perfect, but I can see directly that this ball is going to come in a little bit too much to the left here. That bounce is not what I want. And I'm going to fall down nicely by coming too high, which in that too high and too much to the left, which makes that ball go a little bit too much to the left there. Hole number 9. Now we're going to drive and bounce over the first piece of rough. Need to make an over adjustment of 20% on this drive. Very important. So yeah, it's very important for us there to do that. The reason I say that with the 20% and the elevation adjustments, like 20%, that's a lot, you know. Especially if you try to go and be as close to the rough as possible. It's important to know if it is an over adjustment or under adjustment or not at all. As for just missing this drive into the rough, that will mean that we will never in a million years reach the green in 2, even if we do have tailwind. So I'm going to play with a Thor's Hammer level 5, and you can play with whatever club you might want here. You might want to consider to play with a Berserker Ball if you don't want to, again, stretch it out and adjust from an overpowered position. Stretch it out, then I do adjust my rings with an over adjustment of 20%, which is going to leave myself around plus 13, but then I pull myself up into max again, and I go with a tiny bit overpower. You can see the curl as well, using around 75% of the ball outside to the right. And bounce very nicely here, and we get a good roll. And from this position here, we're going to have a long iron towards the pin. And then, all of a sudden, it gets actually a pretty nice opportunity. And I couldn't really see that before the tournament started, because I felt like, yeah, it's going to be a tough one when it comes to first and foremost go over the green. And then when we're going to adjust for the pin here, as the pins stand a lot to the right and it's a little bit bumpy there towards the pin. The thing is here, do not play as close as our opponent's doing to the rough. Use max side spin on your club, so you give yourself some room from the rough and the sand on the right, so you actually can hit the ball great right without risking going into the rough or into the sand. Oh, very close, and gets some very unlucky bounce there, honestly. Hard to see what really happened there, but it felt like that was a very weird bounce as it got pushed a lot to the left. Our turn, and that's what I'm going to do. Use max side spin always. And I'm going to go with 3 bars of backspin here. And aim for the pin. In this case, and of course the thing that I don't think about is like we do have wind right to left a tiny little bit, which means that we're going to get a little push to the left, combined with that the fairway just before the green slopes to the left and the green slopes to the left, so naturally we're going to, or logically we're going to drop down to the left here with this adjustment, even though we hit it perfect. See, that bounce there gets us a little bit to the left. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this playthrough for Pro Division in the Gridiron tournament. As always, if you do have any questions, let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll be happy to help you out. Check out patreon.com/golf-tommy for training sessions package, and also if you do want to get the updated text guides that will be released during tomorrow, Tuesday. So, the video is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. Good luck in the Gridiron tournament.